The human was supposed to be dead by now. Mara, the scarred human mercenary with dried blood crusted on her tactical vest, stood in the center of the arena floor, gripping a combat knife in her right hand, while her left pressed against a plasma burn, searing through her ribs. Around her lay the corpses of 6 Vraxian hunters, their obsidian scales dulled in death, four-armed bodies twisted at impossible angles. The white spotlights overhead illuminated every detail of the carnage with clinical precision. On the observation deck, Krath, the massive 9-foot Vraxian war chief with red bioluminescent veins pulsing along his obsidian scales, slammed all 4 of his blade-clawed hands against the holographic control panel. The impact shattered the leftmost display, sending blue sparks cascading across the metallic railing. 6! Krath's vertical slit pupils contracted to pinpoints as he roared. She killed 6 of my finest with her bare hands! Thesic, the purple-black scaled Vraxian second in command with amber compound eyes, stepped closer to the railing, her forearms gesturing wildly at the arena below. War Chief, she's wounded. Look at the blood loss.
She can barely stand.
Down on the arena floor, Mara spat blood onto the dirt, her scarred face twisting into a grin that showed too many teeth. She dropped the knife, letting it clatter against the ground, and raised both middle fingers toward the observation deck. The gesture was universal. Krath's scales shifted from obsidian to deep crimson, bioluminescence flaring so bright it cast red shadows across the observation deck. What is that supposed to mean? I believe, Kelix, the translucent jellyfish-like Urathi with 12 writhing tentacles and glowing orange organs pulsing inside his floating body, drifted closer to the railing. It's a human insult. Quite vulgar, actually. I know it's an insult! Krath spun around, all 4 arms sweeping through a holographic display that showed Mara's vital signs. I want to know why she's still standing. Vorn, the bronze chitinous Sklothi with 6 insectoid legs clicking against the metal floor and 4 crystalline eyes arranged in a perfect square on his mandible-flanked face, scuttled to the weapon cache terminal. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he accessed the data. War Chief, according to the arena protocols, she entered with standard mercenary loadout. We stripped everything except... Except what? Thesic's amber compound eyes reflected the holographic displays in fractured patterns. Vorn's 4 crystalline eyes all focused on the screen simultaneously. 10 rounds for her sidearm and 1 combat knife. Silence filled the observation deck. Then Krath laughed. The sound was like boulders grinding together, his massive frame shaking so hard the entire platform vibrated. 10 rounds? She killed 6 Vraxian hunters. Trained warriors who've conquered 14 systems. With 10 bullets? She hasn't fired a single shot yet, War Chief. Vorn's mandibles clicked nervously. She killed them all with the knife. The laughter died. Krath's red bioluminescent veins dimmed to black. All 4 of his blade-clawed hands gripped the railing so hard the metal groaned. Show me the replay! The holographic display flickered to life, showing the last 3 minutes of arena footage. Mara moved through the recording like liquid violence, ducking under a 4-armed grab, driving her knife up through the soft tissue beneath a Vraxian's jaw, using the dying hunter's body as a shield while she snapped another's neck with her bare hands, rolling away from plasma fire to hamstring a 3rd attacker who fell screaming. The entire sequence took 98 seconds. Thesic's purple-black scales rippled with involuntary fear response. She fights like a Vraxian apex warrior. No. Krath's vertical pupils were fixed on the recording. Apex warriors are honorable. That's just murder with extra steps. On the arena floor, Mara had retrieved her knife and was now carving something into the dirt with its blade. The spotlights made the crude letters perfectly visible from the observation deck. Send more. Kelix's tentacles coiled tight against his translucent body, his glowing orange organs pulsing faster. War Chief, perhaps we should reconsider this hunt. Human mercenaries are known for being weak. Krath's 4 arms spread wide, gesturing at the sprawling observation deck with its weapon displays and tactical screens. For dying easily, for begging, this one is defective. Or, Thesic said quietly, her amber compound eyes never leaving Mara's bloody form below, We fundamentally misunderstood what humans are capable of. Krath's scales flashed crimson again. He turned to Vorn, all four hands pointing at the insectoid hunter. Send in the Bladestorm unit, all 12 of them. Overwhelming force. Vorn's 6 legs skittered backward. War Chief, 12 against 1 wounded. Did I stutter? The bioluminescent veins along Krath's obsidian scales pulsed with each word. 12. Now. Vorn's mandibles clicked in acknowledgement as his chitinous fingers worked the holographic interface. Down in the arena, klaxons blared. The blood-stained dirt beneath Mara's boots began vibrating as sections of the 40-foot metal wall slid open, revealing the hunter's preparation bay beyond. Green bioluminescent strips illuminated 12 massive shapes moving in synchronized formation. The Bladestorm unit emerged into the harsh white spotlights. 12 Vraxian hunters in full combat armor, obsidian scales enhanced with crimson energy shielding, each warrior's 4 arms carrying dual plasma rifles. They spread out in perfect tactical formation, surrounding Mara in a circle that tightened with mechanical precision. Mara looked at them. Then she looked at her knife. Then she looked back up at the observation deck and shrugged with such exaggerated casualness that even from this distance, the contempt was palpable. "She's mocking us," Thesic whispered. "She's dying," Krath corrected. "She just doesn't know it yet." The Bladestorm unit commander, his energy shielding burning brighter than his 11 companions, raised all 4 arms. Plasma rifles hummed to full charge, the distinctive whine filling the arena like angry wasps. Mara stuck her knife in her belt. Then she pulled out her sidearm, a battered human-made pistol that looked prehistoric compared to Vraxian plasma technology. She checked the magazine with exaggerated slowness, letting it click back into place with a sound that echoed off the metal walls. 10 rounds, she called up to the observation deck, her voice rough with pain and something that might have been amusement. "You left me 10 rounds, so let me ask you something. Did you think that was too few or too many?" Before anyone could answer, she fired. The first shot took the Bladestorm commander between his vertical slit pupils. The second shot hit the energy pack on his back before his body finished falling. The explosion was small, just a modest fireball that consumed the commander's corpse and took out the 2 warriors flanking him. 3 down, 8 rounds left. Mara was already moving, diving behind one of the corpses from earlier, as plasma fire turned the air above her into superheated death. She came up firing, 2 shots so close together they sounded like one, each bullet finding the weak point where Vraxian neck armor met shoulder plating. 2 more hunters dropped, their 4 arms spasming as they fell. 5 down, 6 rounds left. "Impossible!" Vorn's mandibles clicked so rapidly they blurred. "Those are kill shots, precision shots. She's wounded, she's moving, she's trained." Thesic finished, her amber compound eyes wide. "War Chief, I don't think she's a mercenary." "Then what is she?" Krath's bioluminescent veins pulsed erratically. Down in the arena, Mara had closed the distance. She holstered her pistol and pulled the knife back out, rolling under a plasma burst that vaporized the ground where she'd been standing a heartbeat earlier. One of the Bladestorm warriors made the mistake of trying to grab her with all 4 arms. She let him catch her left arm, then drove her knife through his wrist, used his own grip as leverage to swing herself up and around his massive frame, and slit his throat before his pain receptors finished registering the first wound. 6 down, 6 rounds left. The remaining Bladestorm warriors broke formation, falling back toward the preparation bay entrance. Smart. Tactical. Exactly what they were trained to do when facing an unknown threat. Mara pulled her sidearm again and shot the bay door controls. Sparks exploded from the panel and the heavy metal door slammed shut with a boom that rattled the observation deck windows. The 6 remaining warriors spun around, trapped in the arena with her. Oh no. Kellix's tentacles went completely still, his glowing orange organs dimming. She's hurting them. She was. Mara fired twice more, not at the warriors, but at the ground near their feet, driving them closer together. They bunched up, shields overlapping, plasma rifles tracking her movement. It was textbook defensive formation. It was also exactly what she wanted. Mara sprinted straight at them. The Bladestorm warriors opened fire, plasma bolts turning the air into a light show. She slid under the barrage like a baseball player stealing home, her scarred face inches from the superheated dirt, and came up inside their defensive circle. Then she stabbed the nearest warrior's energy pack. The explosion consumed all 6 remaining hunters in a fireball that rose 40 feet into the air, slamming into the spotlights above and shattering half of them. When the smoke cleared, Mara was standing in the center of a blast radius, her tactical vest smoldering, fresh burns layering over old wounds. She was also laughing. 12 warriors, she called up to the observation deck, reloading her pistol with her last magazine. You sent 12 warriors, and I still have 4 rounds left. You want to know what's really funny? Krath said nothing. His forearms gripped the railing so hard the metal was buckling. I was going to let you capture me, Mara continued, walking slowly toward the center of the arena where the spotlight still functioned. Blood dripped from her wounds with each step. I was going to let you put me in your arena. I was going to let you think you'd won. She stopped directly under the brightest light, looking up at the observation deck with a smile that was all teeth and violence. Because I needed to see how you fight. And now I know. Know what? Thesik's voice was barely a whisper. That you're not apex predators. Mara holstered her pistol and pulled out her knife again. You're prey that forgot what teeth feel like. Krath's scales went completely black. When he spoke, his voice was calm in the way a neutron star is calm, dense with compressed rage. Thesik, how many warriors do we have on this station? 342, War Chief. Send them all. War Chief? That's all of them! The observation deck shook as Krath's roar activated emergency dampers. I want every warrior, every weapon, every piece of armor. I want this human buried under so many bodies, they'll need excavation equipment to find her corpse. Vorn's 4 crystalline eyes swiveled to meet Thesik's amber compound gaze. The Sklathi's mandibles clicked once, softly. We're going to die, aren't we? Probably, Thesik said. Down in the arena, klaxons wailed as all 6 entry points began opening simultaneously. The Hunter's Preparation Bay, the Weapons Cache Chamber, the Medical Wing, the Barracks Access Tunnels, every entrance to the arena floor was sliding open, and through each one poured Vraxian warriors. Obsidian scales gleamed under the remaining spotlights. 4-armed forms moved in waves, hundreds of warriors flooding into the 200-foot diameter pit like a living tide of violence. Mara counted them as they entered. When the number hit 300, she started laughing again. What's funny? Krath's voice boomed through the arena speakers. You're about to die. No, Mara said, checking her pistol one more time. I'm about to prove a point. She paused, then looked straight up at the observation deck. You know what humans call a fight like this? Where one person faces impossible odds with limited ammunition and a knife? What? Despite everything, Krath found himself asking, Tuesday. Then she fired her first shot into the advancing wall of warriors, and the real massacre began. The problem with overwhelming numbers, Mara had learned during the siege of Proxima Station, was that they only worked if you had room to use them. In a confined arena, 300 warriors became 300 obstacles getting in each other's way. The first wave tried to spread out, but the second wave pushed them forward. The third wave crashed into the second, and suddenly the tactical advantage was hers. She shot the lead warrior's knee, waited for him to collapse, then used his falling body as a ramp. One boot on his shoulder, push off, somersault over the second rank, land behind them, knife across the throat of the closest target. Spin, shoot twice at the energy packs, let the explosion scatter the formation. Roll under the plasma fire, come up inside someone's guard, knife between the ribs where Vraxian hearts clustered. She's dancing, Thesik said from the observation deck, her amber compound eyes tracking Mara's movement through the chaos. She's dancing through them like they're standing still. They weren't standing still. They were trying desperately to coordinate, to bring their superior numbers to bear. But every time a formation started to stabilize, Mara would shoot an energy pack, or trigger a weapon misfire, or simply stab the right warrior in the right place to make the whole structure collapse. 1 round left. Mara vaulted over a pile of bodies, landed in a crouch, and took a moment to assess. Maybe 100 warriors left standing. Her left arm wasn't working properly anymore. The plasma burn from earlier had cooked the muscle. She was bleeding from at least 8 new wounds. The knife in her right hand was bent at an angle that would make it useless in another minute. The Vraxian warriors formed a circle around her, learning from their mistakes. This time they kept distance, plasma rifles raised, creating overlapping fields of fire that left no escape route. Slowly, methodically, they began to tighten the circle. Smart. Mara looked down at her pistol. 1 round. She looked up at the observation deck, where Krath's massive form loomed over the railing, his red bioluminescent veins pulsing with triumph. "It's over, human," Krath's voice echoed through the arena. "You fought well, better than any prey has a right to, but it's over." Mara tilted her head, studying the observation deck with the intensity of an engineer examining a blueprint. Then she looked at her pistol, then back at the observation deck. Then she smiled. "You're right," she said. "It is over." She raised her pistol and fired her last round. Not at the warriors surrounding her, not at the arena walls or the weapons cache or any tactical target. She fired straight up at the observation deck, at the massive holographic control panel where Krath stood. The bullet hit the primary power coupling. For exactly 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then every light in the entire station went dark. Emergency systems kicked in half a heartbeat later, bathing everything in blood-red emergency lighting. But those 3 seconds of absolute darkness were enough. Mara moved. She couldn't see, but she didn't need to. She'd counted the warriors, memorized their positions, calculated their formation. She moved through the blind darkness like a ghost, knife-finding throats with mechanical precision. The Vraxian hunters, with their vertical slit pupils optimized for bright light, were effectively blind. By the time the emergency lighting kicked in, Mara had killed 23 more warriors and relocated to the far side of the arena. "Lights!" Krath was roaring into the communication panel. "Get the main lights back online!" "Trying, War Chief!" Kellix's tentacles were wrapped around 3 different control interfaces, his glowing orange organs pulsing frantically. "The power coupling is destroyed. It'll take minutes to reroute." Minutes they didn't have. Mara was already moving through the red-lit carnage, weaponless now except for her bare hands. She grabbed a fallen warrior's plasma rifle, 4-armed Vraxian design, awkward for human hands, but functional. She fired 3 shots into the remaining group, scattered them, then threw the rifle at the nearest warrior's head, hard enough to crack his skull plate. 70 warriors left. Maybe. Krath watched from the observation deck as his army crumbled. This wasn't a battle. This wasn't even a hunt. This was an extinction event with 1 human at the epicenter. "She's going to kill them all," Thesic said quietly. "She's wounded. She's exhausted. She's winning, War Chief." Thesic turned to face Krath, her purple-black scales rippling. "We need to evacuate the station." "Evacuate?" Krath's 4 arms slammed into the control panel again. More displays shattered. "We are Vraxian. We are apex predators. We don't run from..." "From what?" Thesic interrupted, her amber compound eyes meeting Krath's vertical slits. "From prey? War Chief, look at the arena. Look at what she's done. That's not prey." Down below, Mara had found a second plasma rifle. She was firing controlled bursts now, conserving ammunition, every shot a kill. The remaining warriors were breaking, falling back toward the exits, their formation completely dissolved. "We underestimated humans," Vorn said, his 6 insectoid legs backing away from the observation window. His 4 crystalline eyes were all focused on Mara's blood-soaked form. "We thought they were weak because they're small. We thought they were easy prey because they die easily. We never considered that they might be pack hunters," Thesic finished. "That they might fight like cornered animals. That they might see death as just another obstacle to work around." Krath's bioluminescent veins had gone completely dark. His massive frame seemed to shrink as he watched the last of his warriors fleeing the arena floor, scrambling through the exits in panic. Only Mara remained, standing in the center of a field of corpses, still breathing despite wounds that would have killed any Vraxian 3 times over. She looked up at the observation deck one final time. Then she raised her middle finger again. This time, Krath understood exactly what it meant. "Evacuate the station," he said quietly. "Seal the arena. We'll vent it to space. War Chief, the refugees in the lower sectors—" "I said evacuate!" Krath's roar shook the observation deck. "Everyone, now, before she figures out how to reach us!" As if on cue, Mara started walking toward the observation deck wall. Not toward an exit, not toward an escape route. Straight toward the 40-foot metal wall, her eyes locked on Krath. "She's going to climb it," Kellex whispered, his tentacles coiling in terror. "She's actually going to climb it." They watched in horrified fascination as Mara jammed a plasma rifle into the wall, used it as a foothold, pulled herself up, jammed another rifle higher, kept climbing. The metal was smooth, nearly vertical, designed to be unclimbable. She climbed it anyway, using corpses' weapons as makeshift pitons, her wounded body moving with stubborn persistence. 20 feet up, 30 feet. The observation deck was at 40 feet. "Leave! Now!" Krath didn't wait to see if his officers followed. He turned and ran, his forearms pumping, his massive frame crashing through the observation deck doorway. Behind him, Thesic, Vorn, and Kellex fled in 3 different directions, all tactical training abandoned in favor of pure survival instinct. Mara reached the observation deck railing exactly 91 seconds later. She pulled herself over with her one functional arm, collapsed onto the metallic floor, and lay there breathing. Her vision was graying at the edges. Blood loss, adrenaline crash, and approximately 34 separate injuries were all catching up to her simultaneously. She'd won. Somehow, impossibly, she'd won. But she wasn't moving. Couldn't move. Her body had given everything it had. The observation deck door was open. Emergency lights cast everything in red. The holographic displays Krath had shattered, sparked, and flickered. Somewhere in the distance, evacuation klaxons wailed. Mara started laughing again. It hurt. Everything hurt. But she couldn't stop. The galaxy's so-called apex predators had just fled from one wounded human with a knife and 10 bullets. And the best part? The absolute best part? They'd left the station's controls completely unsecured. She dragged herself to the main terminal, her scarred face reflected in the cracked display screen. Her fingers found the communications array, the one every Vraxian military station had for coordinating with their fleet. She keyed it to maximum broadcast range and started recording. "This is Mara, human mercenary, currently occupying Vraxian Outpost Delta 9. Her voice was rough, but steady. "To any Vraxian listening, you left me with 10 rounds and a knife. I used 9 rounds and killed 342 of you. I'm keeping the last bullet." She paused, then smiled at the camera. "Come get it." She ended the recording and set it to loop. Every Vraxian ship within 15 light-years would pick up that message. They'd come, eventually. But right now, Mara had more pressing concerns, like the medical bay she'd spotted during her arena recon, like the fact that this station had enough supplies to keep one human alive for months, like the fact that she'd just single-handedly conquered a military outpost that was designed to coordinate attacks across 3 sectors. She stood up, swaying, and looked around the observation deck. Her reflection stared back from a dozen cracked displays, blood-soaked, scarred, barely standing. She looked terrible. She looked perfect. 10 rounds, she said to her reflection. Then she limped toward the medical bay, leaving bloody footprints across Krath's precious observation deck. Behind her, the message looped endlessly, broadcasting human defiance to every Vraxian in range. Somewhere in the fleeing evacuation ships, Krath heard that message. He was crammed into an escape pod with Thesic, both of them watching the outpost shrink in the rear view screen. "War Chief," Thesic said carefully, "what do we tell the High Command?" Krath's 4 arms were wrapped around his massive frame, his obsidian scales still dark. "The truth." That a single human conquered an entire military outpost with 10 bullets? No. Krath's vertical pupils focused on the distant station where Mara's message was still broadcasting. That we found Earth's military doctrine. They don't send armies. They don't need to. His bioluminescent veins pulsed once, faintly. They send one angry human with a weapon and let physics sort it out. The escape pod continued its trajectory away from the station. Behind them, Outpost Delta 9 hung in space, silent except for one looping message and one human laughing in the medical bay while she stitched her own wounds. Mara had won with 9 bullets. The galaxy would never forget what she could do with 10.